Good evening, everyone, and welcome to beautiful Orvis Auditorium here on the University of Hawaii at Manoa campus. We're proud to bring you another in the SCEP Live Online's concert series. My name is Tim Slaughter, and I'll be your host for the evening. SCEP Live Online is a production of University of Hawaii Presents, based at the University of Hawaii at Manoa Outreach College. I'd like to take a moment and thank our partners and sponsors, the university's music department, the East-West Center Arts Program, the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, the University of Hawaii, Kaunoa Senior Services, Friends of Manoa Library, and you, our audience. We have been offering programs live and online since April, featuring artists from around Hawaii as well as from the mainland and international locations. These artists have shared their talents and cultures with our audiences from the safety of their homes. In an effort to continue to support the work of local musicians, we have created a series of concerts, and with the support of the university's music department and the East-West Center Arts Program, we're here at Orvis Auditorium featuring some of the best talent in Hawaii today. We're extremely excited about the series and hope you will tune in for future concerts as well. I'm also excited to introduce my co-host for this evening, Andrew Morgan. Andrew is General Director for Hawaii Opera Theater. Prior to his arrival in May of 2019, he spent 11 years at the San Francisco Opera Theater. And prior to the San Francisco Opera Theater, he served as Executive Director of the American Bach Soloists and performed with the famed men's a cappella ensemble, Chanticleer. Welcome, Andrew, and thank you for joining us.
Mahalo nui, Tim. Aloha. I'm thrilled to be with you today, albeit virtually, for the 6th live performance featuring local artists presented by the Hawaii Statewide Cultural Extension Program. It's my pleasure to introduce today's artist, mezzo-soprano Lori Rubin. Lori has received high praise from classical music critic Anthony Tomasini of the New York Times, who wrote that she possesses compelling artistry, communicative power, and that her voice displays earthy, rich, and poignant qualities. Lori's international career has taken her to concert venues as varied as the Kennedy Center, the White House, Carnegie Hall, the Ravinia Festival, and Wigmore Hall. Her operatic appearances have included the role of the witch and voice in Lisa Bialawa's episodic TV opera Viro, Elle in Poulenc's La Vahumen, Penelope in Monteverdi's The Return of Ulysses, and the title role in Rossini's La Cenerentola. Lori is also an arts educator and writer who has authored the memoir Do You Dream in Color? Insights from a Girl Without Sight, which chronicles her journey from childhood through building a career as a recitalist and opera singer, which happens to be blind. Her poem, Do You Dream in Color, was set to music by Bruce Adolphe. Lori premiered the work in its orchestral arrangements at the International Human Rights Festival in Lucerne, Switzerland, and for the U.S. premiere with the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra. She and her wife, Jenny Tyra, who is joining her on piano today, are co-founders of Ohana Arts, a youth musical theater training program on Oahu, which aims to cultivate peace and an international family in the Pacific through the universal language of arts. The couple has also served as co-writers on 2 musicals, including Class of 2020, based on the experiences of high school seniors graduating amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. You'll be hearing a selection from that work on tonight's varied program. Please welcome mezzo-soprano Lori Rubin and pianist Jenny Tyra.
Bello, this is awesome. We are here, and I'm sure you're seeing this. We are here in an empty hall, but the best thing about this is that you guys get to be wherever you want to be. You can be in your living room on the couch. You could be drinking hot chocolate. You could be putting your feet up. You could be yawning. You could be stretching and just enjoying the concert how you would any of your favorite TV shows. And I think one of the great things about now is that we have sort of started to reinvent the wheel and find new ways to enjoy music. And I think it's great. And I love that there are so many of you from Hawaii all around. I even heard that there were some people here on Maui and a couple of people from California and possibly Oregon and Colorado. And that is so cool. Never have I ever been able to do a concert like that where it was not limited to one city. So you're really excited. Jenny and I are so excited to be here. I know many of you probably have been at home and not traveling as much as you would, say, if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic. So we'd like to take you now to Paris. So close your eyes and picture yourself in a lavishly appointed Paris cabaret. Velvet cushions, beautiful cocktail in front of you, or mocktail in front of you, and enjoying beautiful music from the 20s. These next two songs, Francis Poulenc, are beautiful songs. The first one is Chemin de l'amour, the pathways of love, and it's all about love was, once a part of my life, but is no more, but I will be nostalgic about it. And then the following song, Hotel, is literally about a person in their hotel room watching the beautiful sun and wanting all they want to do is smoke. Now, of course, in today's day and age, cigarette smoke is not as glamorous, nor should it be, because it's unhealthy for you. But back in the day, that was the thing. And so the way I would compare this song is to the Bruno Mars song that goes, "Today I don't feel like doing anything," except this is Poulenc. So these are the two songs, Chemin de l'amour and Hotel.
Le chemin qui vaut à la mer, au garde de notre passage, des fleurs et fruits, l'écho sous les arbres de nos rues claires. Hélas, les jours du bonheur, radieux chambre à la forme d'une cage. Les soleils passent son bras par la fenêtre. Mais moi qui veux fumer pour faire des mirages, j'allume le feu du jour, ma cigarette. Je ne veux pas travailler. Je veux
So during this pandemic, this quarantine, I have to say that Jenny and I were very, very lucky because about 16 months ago, we had a little girl, little baby girl, and I think she's watching or playing, depending on what her attention is right now. But she has been the light of our lives during this pandemic, and in fact, it was sort of a blessing for us to be able to slow down and just hang out with her. Like during the first part of the quarantine, especially in March when we were kind of not sure what was happening and everything shut down, we would just be hanging out with her, watching her grow just in real time in slow motion. And it was just such an amazing thing. And at night, when we would put her to bed, Jenny would get out her guitar. Jenny plays like a million instruments. She's like a woman of many talents. So she got her guitar out and we would sing all of Aiko's favorite songs. And it just felt like, I don't know, I don't even know how to describe it. It just felt so spontaneous and like we were just jamming and having such a great time and so inspired by this little girl. And so this song, it's called Wiegenlied. Brahms's Lullaby is the more famous, I guess what we think of it as Brahms's Lullaby. Wiegenlied, meaning lullaby, is a song that actually my grandmother sang me to sleep all the time with. And so we always dedicate this one to all the little ones in our family. And so this one goes out right now to Aiko, our daughter.
Guten Abend, gute Nacht, mit Rosen bedeckt, mit Mägdlein besteckt, schlaf unter der Deck, morgen früh, wenn Gott will, wirst du wieder geweckt. Morgen früh, wenn Gott will, wirst du wieder geweckt. Guten Abend, gute Nacht, von Englein bedacht, die zeigen im Traum dir Christkindleins Baum. Schlaf nun selig und süß, Traum ins Traums Paradies. Schlaf und selig und soest, schau im Traums Paradies.
It's interesting how many things have happened in 2020, like apocalyptical news articles about just so many crazy things, to the point where we would just laugh after a while because it was just funny. I mean, it's not, it's terrible, but it's, you know, you have to laugh, right? But I think what has happened also, especially with the advent of, you know, this happening during social media, the really height of social media, is that we have spewed a lot of, you know, hate and comments that, you know, sometimes after we think about what we've said, and I think it comes a lot from fear too. We are all so fearful of what's happening in the world, and we've had protests, and we've had, you know, people that have just been sort of relegated to one side or another of an issue, whether it be, you know, the health crisis or, you know, just other world problems. There's been such a passion on both sides. And one of the comments that I've seen recently from friends is that, oh, you know, I've actually unfriended my friends because I can't believe this is how they think. And, you know, I thought to myself, wow, oh, it's terrible. And one of the things that I realized is that what we all have to go back to is why did we love or befriend those people in the first place? Why is it that we connected with them? And yes, of course, we're so passionate about all these issues and this and that, but why is it that we connected with these people, and why are we letting ourselves stray away from those relationships? And this song, O Lieb, is such a beautiful song, and it's actually a piano piece also, Liebesraum, which is probably the more famous. But anyway, O Lieb is about love, and it's basically saying, make sure that you treasure the person that you love, because one day you're going to be at their grave grieving, and you don't want to have to have had a harsh word said to that person. And I think that's very apropos of the time, and I think that we are in such need of healing, all of us, from this year, which has caused and inspired so much fear of the unknown and the uncertainty of the future. So this is O Lieb.
O Lieb, solang du leben kannst, solang du leben kannst. O Lieb, solang du leben magst, solang du leben magst. Die Stunde kommt, die Stunde kommt, wo den Gräbern stehst und klagst. Die Stunde kommt, wo du in Gräben stehst und klagst. Und Sorge, da ist ein Ewigkeit,
Jenny and I got married in 2013, and we followed our wedding. Well, first, it was funny, we went on a family honeymoon first. We went on a Disney cruise with the family. We always joke the family came on our honeymoon. But then we went to Paris afterwards, and we spent the whole day we spent at Versailles. So we were exhausted, but we had so much fun because we spent the whole day there and we explored the whole property, and it was so much fun. And then that night, we actually were at a hotel that was very close to the Eiffel Tower. So we went to the Eiffel Tower, and we walked there. And when we get there, I speak French, but not like terribly fluently, but I did remember my high school French, and I asked the lady, where do we get our tickets? And she pointed, and in English said, over there. But so we went and we bought our tickets, and we were standing in line, and we started to see that the line was headed towards walking up the Eiffel Tower. Now, mind you, we had been walking, I don't even know, like on the Apple Watch what it would have said. We didn't have one back then. But miles. We would have closed a lot of rings that day on the Apple Watch. But so we were exhausted. So when we saw people like walking up the Eiffel Tower, we were a little scared. And we were like, no, we wanted the elevator. But apparently we had bought the wrong ticket. So Jenny and I are walking, and at the top of, maybe halfway towards the second floor, Jenny's like, I don't know if I can do this because I'm a little afraid of heights. And I'm like, we've made it this far. And meanwhile, I am not in shape. They say round is a shape. That's how I felt. I was not in shape. We were walking and walking. We're climbing. So we finally, she's ready to kill me. She's like, I can't do this. This is too high. And I'm just like, but we've made it this far. We have to just go. So we get to the top eventually, and then and there's one more elevator that takes you to the very, very top. So we made it. But anyway, Paris, because of that trip and so many other reasons, is one of my favorite cities. And I think Jenny likes it as well very much. And so anyway, so this song definitely speaks to our love of Paris.
New York has neon, Berlin has bars. Out à Paris, Shanghai has silk and Madrid guitars. But à Paris, in Cairo you find bizarre bazaars. In London, pip pip, you sip tea. But when it comes to love, none of the above. Compris, compris. So if it's making love that you're thinking of, Paris. I have seen the ruins of Rome. I've been in the igloos of Nome. I have gone to Moscow. It's very gay. Well, anyway, on the 1st of May, I have seen Rangoon and Soho, and I like them more than so. But when there's a moon, goodbye, Rangoon. Allô, Montmartre, allô. Peking has rickshaws, New Orleans jazz. But Paris, Beirut has sunshine, that's all it has. But Paris, Constantinople has Turkish baths, and Athens that's lovely debris. Carlsbad is where you can, but for ooh la la, you come with me. Carlsbad is where you can after you have toured. Paris.
In March, when the pandemic where quarantine started the stay-at-home orders started to happen all over the country, one of the things I was noticing was that there were all these videos all over social media from celebrities. The funniest of which was Ellen DeGeneres' channel, because she kept posting herself doing absolutely nothing, and it was just hilarious. And crossword puzzles where she's swearing up a storm. Of course, it's all bleeped out, but she's swearing up because she can't figure out how to do the 1,000-piece crossword jigsaw puzzle. But one video in particular, which was hilarious, was when I think she was talking to Jennifer Aniston, and she called her up on FaceTime and was like, hey, Jen. And Jen's like, hi, Ellen. What you doing? Jen, nothing. Why? Well, not since 20 minutes since the last time you called. Oh, okay. Silence for about 10 seconds. Okay, bye. Then she calls up Alec Baldwin. Hi, Alec. Hi, what's up, Ellen? Nothing. Just wanted to see what you were doing since the last half hour since I talked to you. And this is all her dry sense of humor, right? But anyway, those videos, the novelty for me about this was that all of these celebrities were just like us. They were stuck at home and with their families, and that all of us had been stripped of all of the sort of the glamour and the status that we're so used to having in life, right? And so it was all gone, and here we are, stripped down to our bare bone human selves. And it made me realize we spend so much of our lives looking for happiness from outside sources. And this was the lesson that I've learned from this pandemic is how simple life really is, and how you don't have to look for happiness anywhere else but within yourselves. And a lot of people have spent the time baking and writing or doing whatever. But there have been a lot of us, I know we all have sort of bemoaned the fact that we wish that our lives could go back to normal. But the thing is that this is like, we're never going to get this time back. And I know that, of course, a lot of people are really ready for this time to be over. We're never going to get this time back. This is the time when we can better ourselves and find the things that truly make us happy from the inside out, right? And so this song that we're going to do now, The Secret of Happiness, is, to me, now, like, I used to assign it to all my students and think it's a beautiful song and has a lovely message, but now I've really internalized this message, and I'm like, yes, it speaks to that message so well.
I've discovered the secret of happiness is learning how to glide. I've discovered the secret of happiness is just enjoy the ride. Don't let the journey be tainted by pride. And I've discovered the secret of happiness is not to mourn the past. I've discovered the secret of happiness is not to run too fast. You can still beat them by coming in last, 'cause the secret of happiness is, I've discovered the secret of happiness is not to be afraid. I've discovered the secret of happiness is all illusions fade. Don't beat the future, you'll just be delayed. And the future of happiness is living in the now. Living in the time it takes to blink, I think is how we're meant to be living. I've discovered the secret of happiness is following my will. I've discovered the secret of happiness is, though we can run that hill, happiness learns when we learn to be still. And the secret of happiness is, the secret of happiness is clear. The secret of happiness is near. The secret of happiness is here.
One of the things that Jenny and I noticed during the months that followed the initial cancellations of everything were that a lot of our seniors were facing a huge disappointment in their lives, because they were, not only were they hearing like one after the other, their ceremonies and celebrations were getting canceled, but they were also facing the uncertainty of a future that, nobody had any idea what was going to happen, what kinds, with all the shutdowns that were happening and businesses going out of business, what was going to happen to these kids. And so the students, our seniors, were just, so incredible, as all of our students are. And so it was interesting. Jenny and I and Jenny's sister Carrie, we run a program called Ohana Arts during the summer. And it's a musical theater program for youth ages 6 to 18 here on Oahu. And we were kind of racking our brains trying to figure out what kind of a show we could do virtually this past summer. And we were kind of at a loss for what to do. And Carrie said, you guys should, we were just sort of like jokingly said, you guys should write a musical about like the seniors, like, what they've been going through. And so I kind of looked at her and I was like, you're so right. Like, that would be an excellent way to honor them. And so that's what we did. We wrote a musical. We're still shooting it. All the kids shot their scenes in quarantine. And so it was very piecemeal, but it was really fun to put together. And they're so talented. And oh my goodness. So it was so much fun. But this song is the first time we're performing it publicly. And actually, it should be performed by this wonderful senior, or now not a senior anymore, but Tiara Gomes, who plays this character that's just gone through like almost a breakup, or So this song, though, not only just represents breaking up, but it sort of represents all the loss in general that people have been going through during this pandemic. So people passing away, losing businesses, losing whatever. And so this song, Let Go of Me, and we dedicate this, excuse me, to the class of 2020. There's a bird in my window, she's singing my song. I've got no place to go, so I'll just play along. She cries and she calls out, but nobody hears. The echo of emptiness falls on deaf ears as the world disappears. I've been searching for answers, but nothing seems clear. When did we lose our way? How did we get here? We wrote the world in our music each day. In one fleeting moment, you threw it away with nothing to say. If I could dive in the ocean, if I could glide with the breeze, if I could numb all emotion, then I would let go of me. I am lost in a dream when I wake in the night. Is that you right beside me, or a trick of the light? You're real, I can feel you so near, you're right there. When I reach for you, you disappear into thin air. All that's left is your chair. If I could dive in the ocean, if I could glide with the breeze, if I could numb all emotion, then I could let go of me. How can I move on when I know there are words left unspoken? How can I believe it's the end when there's so much to do? We still have our love when our life as we knew it got broken. Tell me how to forget when there's part of me waiting for you. If I could dive in the ocean, if I could glide with the breeze, if I could numb all emotion, All right. Well, a few weeks ago, Jenny's sister Carrie asked our nieces and nephew, why don't you guys make a list of stuff for the holidays that you would like to do? And Maya, the oldest, drew up this beautiful schedule, like visual schedule, when she started outlining events that people were like yelling out things they wanted to do. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make ginger cookies, which is sort of a holiday tradition for our family anyway. And we're going to have a Disney day, so Disneyland day, where we're all going to pretend that we're at Disneyland, and we're going to make churros, and we're going to have Mickey Mouse ice cream and a lot of junk food. And so we're very, we have that plan. And then we're talking about going to a drive-in movie. Now, I don't know, Jenny's been to them. I've never been to a drive-in movie. And so I'm excited. I'm hoping there's still one now on the island, still open. Anyway, point being that, I think I've talked to a lot of my students, and I know how bummed everybody is because they're not able to do the stuff that they normally do during Christmas. So I said, what are you guys up to for the holidays? And I know a lot of people are just, a little bit sad. And but the thing is, I love this song, and one of my students just sang it, and that's what gave me the idea. And I said to Jenny, why don't we do this song? And she loved the idea. It's Where Are You Christmas? And the thing is, we're all feeling that now. Where are you Christmas? The holidays are happening. People are playing holiday music. Amazon is raking it in. It's all great, all good. But most people are a little bit sad. And so this song is about finding Christmas within yourself. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about before, about finding happiness within yourself. And so we all have Christmas. Christmas never goes away. Christmas is always there in your heart.
Where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you? Why can't I hear music play? Where is the laughter you used to bring me? Why can't I hear music play? My world is changing, I'm rearranging. Does that mean Christmas changes too? Where are you, Christmas? Do you remember the one you used to know? I'm not the same one. Where has the time gone? Is that why you have let me go? Christmas is here everywhere. Christmas is here if you care. If there is love in your heart and your mind, you will feel like Christmas all the time. I feel you, Christmas. I know I found you. You never fade away. The joy of
I predict 3 things about what's going to happen after this pandemic. You want to hear? I can't even hear you say no, so I'm going to tell you anyway. No, just kidding. Number 1, I think that, well, this is maybe their predictions or their hopes. I think people will become a little bit more environmentally conscious, because back in March, when this all started, all the lockdowns started happening, you started hearing about deer in Japan just walking across the street. You started to hear about whales reproducing and being happy in the ocean because there was not the rumble of cruise ships. All kinds of stuff. All these great things. See, it's funny. We always focus on the bad stuff, but as a result, there's also a lot of good stuff. Number 2, I think that people are going to start working more from home. I hope, and I think that maybe more people will start working from home. And number 3, I think at the end of all of this, people are going to go nuts, and they're going to be like buying vacations galore, and they're going to be going on family trips, and they're going to be so happy because they haven't seen people in such a long time. And so the sweetness of that moment of seeing their family and being with their friends and all that stuff is going to be sweeter than it ever was before. And it reminds me, see, Jenny's family is Buddhist, and I consider myself Jubu, which Buddhist Jewish, right? And so one of the services, there was a minister that was talking about a mother. And the mother was quoted to say, "I hope you experience enough pain to appreciate your good health. I hope you experience just enough loss so you can appreciate what you have. And I hope you can experience just enough sorrow to really appreciate the sweetness of joy." And I know I'm not quoting that exactly correctly, and I know that my father-in-law is probably like, "No, it's not quite that." But anyway, But anyway, the idea is that, this is the time that we're going through right now. That's kind of the bummer, But after that, it'll make us appreciate life so much more, and that's what we have to look forward to. I'm thinking of the Italians back in March when they were on lockdown. And you could see there were people in their apartments, and they were going, "Oh, sole mio," and they were like singing up a storm. And the people from the apartment across the way were saying, "Oh, sole," and they were all singing. And they were united, they were like, it was all in solidarity. They were all doing this together. They were all working as a team so they could get through this. And they were shut-ins and everything because, we had to be. But they were just making the best of it and seeking community through their music. And so we always end our concerts with Hallelujah. And I know we're not going to be able to hear you singing. But you guys, sing as loud. I want to hear you singing. So make sure you sing loud. You're in your own home, so nobody else can hear you. So sing loud when we get to the chorus of Hallelujah. And let this be your anthem in making the world heal. Let us all pay it forward. Let's all do our part to get through this. And and music unites us at our most vulnerable. So let's all, in our own homes, let ourselves be heard all across Oahu.
I've heard there was a secret chord, but David played, and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? It starts like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Well, baby, I've been here before. I know this room, I've walked this floor. I've used to live alone before I knew you. I saw your flag on the marble arch. Love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's unlooking hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I did my best, it wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I told the truth, I didn't come to fool you. And even though it all of song with nothing on the tongue but hallelujah. Hallelujah. You guys better be singing hallelujah. 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 One more time. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Lori and Jenny. That was absolutely fabulous, and I know I heard them. I heard them. It was coming through the walls.
Yay!
They were all singing hallelujah with you. That just has made for a wonderful evening. I can't thank you enough for being part of this.
Thank you for having us.
And we did have lots and lots of comments and some questions from the audience. So if we can ask a few of them to you.
Please? Yeah.
First, I want to respond to someone who asked about whether there was an audience in the house or not. And hopefully they could tell from the dead silence that there was no audience in the house. We have a very small crew and our wonderful performers on stage, and that's it as we turn Orvis Auditorium into a mini broadcasting studio for all of these concerts. I was thinking maybe my co-host here, Andrew, did you have some questions you could start our artist off with?
Sure. How did you two meet?
Well, Jenny will tell you the short version. She should
We met at Yale grad school through a mutual friend.
Yeah. She asked, I always say that her pickup line was, "Will you sing on my recital?"
Ah.
It worked.
Okay. We did have a question. Let's see. How do you select the songs for a performance?
You know, it's interesting you say that, and actually tonight was a prime example because what we try to do is we try to cater the programs to whoever will be in the audience. So, for example, if we're performing for students, we'll do some songs that they love, like musical theater. We'll always throw in a bit of opera and classical because our secret goal is to make them love opera and classical music. But we also Jenny and I are such musical theater geeks. We love musical theater. We do a lot of that, and so it really just depends. So tonight, because this was really a concert that was geared towards the virtual audience, we wanted to tell our story and tell the story of what's been happening, not just for us, but for so many during this crazy time. And so, a lot of the songs just popped out to us, like, oh my God. And then when we were looking at the words, we're like, this is so relevant. So, we always do our storytelling. In this particular format, we do storytelling with our concerts. So we select music that will be relevant and we'll be able to weave stories in with those songs.
Well, you made some excellent, excellent choices, I think.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
And you're so right about the relevancy of what you sang tonight. And your original piece is just fabulous.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I can't wait for you to hear our cast member sing it. She's going to be awesome. So.
Well, we are looking forward to that. Do you have any particular inspirations for your vocal stylings?
My vocal stylings. I love when I was in college. I was in high school. I was introduced to Baroque music, but when I was in college, we had a historical ensemble. So we had all the instruments, like the gambas and the sackbuts and the cornetos, and so I sang with that Baroque ensemble. And I heard, Andrew, you sing with Chanticleer. I used to sing with our Collegium Musicum at Oberlin. I absolutely adored Chanticleer. And my voice, it'll never be a huge voice like a Puccini or a Verdi voice. So when I do O mio babbino, that's as far as we go with piano. But I think I take a lot of inspiration from the kind of the more, the nimbleness of my voice. So I do a lot of Baroque music. I do a lot of new music. When I was in New York, I did a lot of new music. And I feel like that style also lends itself to musical theater. And so, when I teach, I feel like I've been through so many different kinds of technique. One of my teachers in college was Richard Miller, who was sort of like the founder of all of these different machines that you like literally you stick a camera down your throat and it shows you if you're vibrating at the right formant and the right resonance, right? And I was so terrified of that camera that I managed to finagle my way out of going into the lab because all of his students had to do it. I was like, I don't want to have this camera. No. Anyway, so I think I've just been really lucky. I've had some great training. I've just stumbled upon some great repertoire and met some amazing composers. So I've learned a lot of techniques along the way, including inhaling while singing or screaming on a high G. And I worked with Dawn Upshaw, who is a great new music person. And she was like, no, you don't really have to scream on a high G. This is how you do it. And so I've had really great mentors along the way.
Oh, that's wonderful. And it shows.
Oh, thank you.
Andrew, anything else?
Yeah, one of the things I noticed through the program, it's a really wide range of repertoire that you brought to tonight. It was really wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
But each piece, you really sounded very idiomatic in each of the styles, and that's really, really impressive.
Thank you.
How did that what came first, the art, song, and opera, or the musical theater, and kind of how do you like going back and forth like that?
Okay, that's a really good question. Okay, so I have to first shout out to my students because musical theater and belting came later. You should have heard. I started out, of course, as a 10-year-old would, like with my voice teacher doing things like Wind Beneath My Wing. Oh, this shows my age, gosh. And like Memory from Cats and stuff like that. But when I listened back to those tapes, I was like, why did my mom continue voice lessons? It was pretty awful. Like, it was, ugh. Anyway, but fortunately, like I saw Phantom of the Opera very shortly after that, and that changed my whole world. Like I wanted to do opera because the whole show was about opera, and I was just, so that's when I started. And I had a great teacher who actually may be watching this, who was a Juilliard alum, and she's like, you need to sing opera, you need to sing classical. And so she taught me how to sing opera and classical, and I think it actually saved my life in high school because I was one of those kids. I was that kid in high school, the sort of isolated. I didn't have any friends in my high school, so I did a lot of programs outside. I did what's it called, the All-State Honor Choir. I did competitions, but I never did competitions to win them. I just did them so that I could make friends, and it was great because I ended up doing, going into college for opera and classical, and just so that was my path. And then I think what really got me into doing different styles was the Baroque music and then the new music, because you have to do such crazy things in new music especially, and it really gave me a lot of control over my voice and a lot of, I think, permission over my artistry. And then once I had that, then it was like the sky was the limit. I could do other stuff too. What got me into musical theater was that, Jenny's sister was running a program at the Hongwanji Mission School. She founded the theater program there. So Jenny and I would fly out to Hawaii and help her with her program, and just like, coach the kids. We would just come out for like a couple weeks at a time. And so then when we started Ohana Arts, because we started that in 2010, we started doing these living room concerts like in people's homes. And I started doing repertoire that was more musical theory. And that's when I started getting into more of the storytelling element of singing, and because we were in people's homes, and so it could be more intimate. And I just loved that you could interact with the audience. It wasn't just get up on stage, walk on for your set, walk off, drink water, come back on. It was really like interactive, and I loved that. And there's such a wonderful art to recital, but I was never really that good at it because, I wanted to talk to the audience, So I think that really helped, get me into these different repertoires. And my students, I credit my students for teaching me how to belt. They taught me how to belt because they wanted to, so I had to teach myself how to belt. And the analogy I usually use is like, they say like when a parent sees a child in danger, like even if like a car's about to run over them, they will find this boot strength to like pick up the car and like move it off of the child, even though that's physically impossible. Well, I always tell my students, I would never belt that note in public, but I just will belt a high D for them because I want them to do it. Like, do it like this, and I'll do it for them. And I'll be like, damn, I would never do that in performance, but yeah, so.
Well, that's fabulous.
Thank you.
And thank God you found opera.
Oh.
And thank God you're with us now singing and filling our lives with joy. So we really appreciate both of you for being here. And I also want to thank our sponsors who made this possible: the East-West Center Arts Program, the Friends of Manoa Library, the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts, Kalanua Senior Services, the National Endowment for the Arts, the University of Hawaii, and the university's music department. I also want to thank my co-producers, Eric Chang and Jonathan Korth, of course, my co-host, Andrew Morgan, and our production crew, M. Richard, Margaret Arakaki, Todd Bodden, Anadiv Banjari, and Nicholas Chaldron. And we hope you will tune in for our future concerts. And once more, if you can all give a virtual round of applause to two fabulous, fabulous musicians that we're so lucky to have here in Hawaii with us, and so lucky to have them on the stage with us tonight, Laurie Rubin and Jenny Tyra.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure.
And good night, everyone.